Hello? I'd like to report a murder. His name? Muhammad ibn Abdullah. I think he was poisoned. No, he's the prophet of Islam. Well, it was almost 14 centuries ago, but don't you guys have like a cold case file or something? Not for that long ago. Do you have any clue how important this case is? I've got Sunnis telling me a Jewish woman poisoned him. I've got Shias telling me Aisha poisoned him. And I want to know who killed... Hello? She hung up. Guess I'll have to solve this one myself. Through a careful investigation of the Muslim sources. By the way, to all my Muslim friends out there who've never bothered to read your most trusted sources, may I say in advance, Mwahaha. Okay, I've been through the Quran, the Hadith, and the Sirah literature, and I think I've solved the mystery of Muhammad's death. It's actually pretty straightforward. The Muslim sources tell us that Muhammad was poisoned. All we have to do is take everything we know about how Muhammad was killed and ask ourselves, who would have killed him in that particular way? Police do this sort of thing every day. They match up a bullet with the gun that fired the bullet. They match up fingerprints with the finger who left the fingerprints. They match up details of a crime with a criminal who has a certain MO. So to figure out who killed Muhammad, we just need to do a little profiling.
But the fact remains you can't prove that I did it. It could have been anybody. It could only be you. By your own admission.
The main difficulty we face is that lots of people wanted to kill Muhammad. The pagans wanted to kill him for conquering their cities, smashing their idols, slaughtering their men, raping their women, and enslaving their children. Jews wanted to kill him for seizing their land, destroying their communities, slaughtering their men, raping their women, and enslaving their children. Christians wanted to kill him for threatening to conquer them. Men wanted to kill him, women wanted to kill him, old people wanted to kill him, young people wanted to kill him. Muhammad made a lot of enemies.
What's the matter, Rodney?
I don't get no respect at all.
Fortunately, we can narrow down our list of suspects by ruling out people who would have killed Muhammad in some way other than poisoning. Certain killers like to strangle their victims. They're not going to use poison. Some people prefer knives. Some people set fires. Some people push their victims off cliffs. Colonel Mustard wouldn't poison anybody. He'd use a lead pipe in the ballroom. Interestingly, the Quran tells us how Allah would have killed Muhammad. We find Allah's MO, his preferred method of executing prophets, in Surah 69, verses 44 through 46. According to the Quran, if Muhammad were to invent a false revelation, if he were to make up verses of the Quran, Allah would kill him by severing his aorta. The aorta is the large artery that comes out of the left ventricle of your heart. Some Muslim sources call it the life artery. Let's look at 4 translations of verses 44 through 46, along with a commentary, so we can get a clear idea of what the passage is saying. The Haleli Khan translation reads, "And if he, Muhammad, had forged a false saying concerning us, we surely should have seized him by his right hand, or with power and might, and then certainly should have cut off his life artery." And in parentheses, the translators add, aorta. The Pickthall translation declares, "And if he had invented false sayings concerning us, we assuredly had taken him by the right hand and then severed his life artery." Daud's translation reads, "Had he invented lies concerning us, we would have seized him by the right hand and severed his heart's vein." M.H. Shakir renders these verses, "And if he had fabricated against us some of the sayings, we would certainly have seized him by the right hand, then we would certainly have cut off his aorta." Just so we're clear on the meaning, and no one accuses me of misrepresenting the passage, let me read one of the greatest Muslim commentaries on these verses. This is Tafsir Jalalain. "And had he, namely the Prophet, fabricated any lies against us by communicating from us that which we have not said, we would have assuredly seized him. We would have exacted vengeance against him as punishment by the right hand, by our strength and power. Then we would have assuredly severed his life artery, the aorta of the heart, a vein that connects with it and which, if severed, results in that person's death. So if Muhammad had been a false prophet and a liar and a deceiver, we know how Allah would have killed him. Allah would have cut his aorta. As long as no one severs Muhammad's aorta, then we can rule out Allah as a suspect.
I didn't do it. Just because the blood was in my hand doesn't mean I stabbed the man.
Now that we've got our strategy, let's turn to the Muslim sources so we can put together our profile. According to Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and other texts, Muhammad was poisoned by a Jewish woman. Sahih al-Bukhari 26:17. A Jewess brought a poisoned cooked sheep for the Prophet, who ate from it. She was brought to the Prophet and was asked, "Shall we kill her?" He said, "No." Anas added, "I continued to see the effect of the poison on the palate of the mouth of Allah's Messenger." People could see the effect of the poison in Muhammad's mouth. The poison apparently disfigured his palate, making his mouth look strange. Sahih Muslim 54:30. A Jewess came to Allah's Messenger with poisoned mutton, and he took of what had been brought to him. When the effects of this poison were felt by him, he called for her and asked her about that, whereupon she said, "I had determined to kill you." Thereupon he said, "Allah will never give you the power to do it." Muhammad tells this woman, "Allah will never allow you to kill me." I guess Muhammad didn't know Allah very well, because the poison ultimately did kill him. In case you're wondering why this woman wanted to poison Muhammad, she tells us in Ibn Sa'd. The apostle of Allah sent for Zainab bint al-Harith, that's the woman who poisoned him, and said to her, "What induced you to do what you have done?" She replied, "You have done to my people what you have done. You have killed my father, my uncle, and my husband, so I said to myself, if you are a prophet, the foreleg will inform you. And others have said, if you are a king, we will get rid of you." The woman poisoned Muhammad because he slaughtered her family. Guess Louis Farrakhan got something right.
But as a man soweth, the same shall he also reap. And that's why Jesus told Peter, sheathe your sword, because those who live by the sword will die by it.
But there's a plot twist here, my friends. You see, Zainab didn't act alone. She had a co-conspirator, someone working behind the scenes, pulling the strings. Sahih al-Bukhari 44:28. The Prophet, in his ailment in which he died, used to say, "O Aisha, I still feel the pain caused by the food I ate at Khaybar, and at this time I feel as if my aorta is being cut from that poison." What's that, Muhammad? Something about your aorta being cut? That's funny. I seem to recall someone telling us that if he were going to kill you for being a false prophet, he'd do it by severing your aorta. But let's keep reading. Sunan Abu Dawud 44:98. A Jewess presented Muhammad at Khaybar a roasted sheep which she had poisoned. The apostle of Allah ate of it, and the people also ate. He then said, "Lift your hands from eating, for it has informed me that it is poisoned." Bishr bin al-Bara bin Marur al-Ansari died. So he, the Prophet, sent for the Jewess and said to her, "What motivated you to do the work you have done?" She said, "If you were a prophet, it would not harm you. But if you were a king, I would rid the people of you." The apostle of Allah then ordered regarding her, and she was killed. He then said about the pain of which he died, "I continued to feel pain from the morsel which I had eaten at Khaybar. This is the time when it has cut off my aorta." This is the time when it has cut off my aorta. Didn't someone tell us in the Quran that he would kill Muhammad by cutting his aorta?